Hello and welcome back to the Stokes Sound Podcast. I'm your host Ed Stokes, and today I have the wonderful Jordan Timms from Numen Studios. Hey Jordan, how you doing?
Hello. I'm good, thank you. I'm good. How you doing?
I'm good, thank you. I'm good. So Jordan, tell us a little bit about yourself, you know, what you do, and you know, all these listeners, you're going to be very interested. We're going to be talking about the business side of music and obviously how Jordan's kind of managed to make a career from owning a studio to well, we're all trying. It's the music industry, isn't it? No one's safe.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So
I think it's freelance in general, but
so Jordan, tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll kind of get into the topics and stuff.
Cool.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Jordan.
This is like an interview now for a job, isn't it? A proper job.
I'm well, to be honest, it's all kind of changed a lot recently. So when people ask me that question, it like throws me off a bit because like it's kind of like an artist project now, and bit of a producer, and then mixing and all the bits that come with that, you know. But yeah, our focus at the moment is kind of writing music, trying to get like good at that, and yeah. I don't know. It's really weird because we've got kind of two sides of what we do now. So we've got Numen Studios and then Spaceman, and
which is a brilliant studio.
Two focuses.
By the way, any listeners that want any music done, Numen Studios is great.
Thank you very much.
Got lots of
we do have a few microphones. Yeah, no, it's
on that
note,
it's
a good little spot.
Have you got any more toys recently? Any more?
No more toys, no, unfortunately. We've been eyeing up things which are way out of our budget. So we're just kind of keeping ourselves to ourselves at the moment.
That's the life, isn't it, of owning a studio?
We had a guy in last week, right, and he's like, "Oh yeah, me and my mate who do like they're like a production duo, and they make kind of like weird French house stuff." And he's like, "They sound like Daft Punk," and he was like, "I've got this thing which sounds just like Daft Punk." And me and Max were both like, "I love the sound of that." And he shows us this thing, and it's like $3,500. It's just like literally a phaser, and me and Max are like, do we buy that?
What is it?
No.
What does it do?
It's a phaser. It's literally a phaser, but it literally just sounds like the 90s, you know.
Mad money.
But it's all stupid things like that, yeah. We're trying to look for a delay unit at the moment as well, or something in which we can just blow up, but yeah. And also recently we've been rehearsing for live, Mr. Ed.
Live? You're going to perform live? Yeah. So just for all the listeners, he's in a production trio. I mean, if you want to introduce what the name is and who's in it, and
yeah, we're called Spacemen. And it's like a 3-piece. We've got Dean, who's kind of the top line and lyrics kind of guy, and then there's me and Max, which are the two monkeys, which he tells us what to do, basically.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, Dean's the brains, we're the gears, you know.
So how does it kind of work then? So you kind of just write songs from scratch, I guess? Yeah,
so the whole idea on Spaceman was just to write music together and have fun. And then we kind of got a load of songs which no one was ever going to hear, which we all thought was sick. And yeah, and then we got a manager on board, and because he loved the sound of this record, so we've got like 6 songs in an EP that are ready to go.
How would you describe?
I think we're going to push that as much as we can, you know, like try and get our names out there, because at the moment we're kind of struggling with releases, because you can write with people all day, every day, and you get one release in like a month or something, if you're like us. And then, yeah, we just thought, fuck it, we'll release our own stuff and see how that goes, because it's the best of what we've done. We can push it as much as we can. There's no excuses, or there's no artist telling us that volume is wrong for the vocal or whatever, you know, so it's all completely our decisions and the best it can be, you know.
How would you describe the sound for the listeners that haven't heard your music yet?
I'd say it's like everyone keeps saying that Dean sounds like bloody Owl City, but I don't like the idea of that. But
I love a bit of Owl City.
Like, they say like Owl City with like indie dance,
right? Yeah.
Like, we just want loads of people jumping around and punching each other to our music, you know, this kind of thing. So just exciting pop,
Yeah, that's cool. So from a business perspective, then it's obviously great that you own a studio where you guys all work out of. That must be very helpful.
Yeah. Well, it's difficult. Like since COVID, people don't record anymore. Oh well, not with us, but um, in the area, it's like I've always said to you that Ed and other people who I speak to, it's like I'm not really interested in kind of putting my name out there on like the yellow pages or like all the typical
Yellow
places where
pages.
your dad would put his stuff. Yeah, like it and like on Facebook and things like that, because like that would just introduce us to like 40-year-old bands. Not that that's a bad thing,
Yeah.
but like cover bands and things like that. Whereas it's like our focus and the love of music that we do is all new music and like new artists. And I don't know. I think we just get a buzz off of doing doing something new, which is why when we work with like bigger artists and stuff, well, I don't feel as connected to the project ever as I do with like the new kind of exciting people. I've even had this like 15, 16-year-old girl come in like last year, and her voice honestly was like, it was like a Susan Boyle moment on Britain's Got Talent, Like it
I'd
was
love
like
to see your reaction.
singing, and it was like, yeah, she was singing, and it was like, oh my god, like how are you so young with like this voice? And we kind of love the idea of just putting all four of us together and just seeing what we can do with her project, because like she didn't have any direction at all. All she did was covers, and we were like, if you were writing your music or we wrote your music, we reckon you could go far. Like she's doing really well in West End and stuff as well. So it's one of those projects. If we jump on early, we might be able to get involved with, and that's the sort of thing that kind of excites us.
Yeah, I mean that's a great way. Obviously, you've got a studio, so in a way, you can kind of use your studio as like an investment to work with different artists.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
as well as your own music as well.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. That's why it's difficult to say like if my business is the studio or if it's our writing, because it's like when we can just record bands and record like covers and things like that, which will make us money, but it's like I don't think that's the important bit. Like since COVID and stuff, the focus I want it to be everything we work on to be great and everything we do to be our full investment. And if we've got Jim Bob from the pub coming down playing his 3-string guitar, it's like it's not something that
we've all had that.
Gets us pumped. Yeah, exactly. Industry, we've all done that.
We've all had that. I mean, it's interesting you're saying that, because obviously, you're in this production trio. There's 3 of you, right? So it's a production trio. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you're looking at kind of like, you're not looking at kind of quick business. You're looking at having longevity in the music game, and also having longevity, I guess, in the studio as well, because like you say, you want to find great artists and make good music, and also run a business at the same time, but a business that's going to achieve the success that you want at the end and not just money. So it's quite an interesting way of doing it, because you do see a lot of studios, don't you, that are like, come here and record.
That's it. Yeah. Well, I think the other thing is like the mixing side of stuff as well. Like I put that all under Numen Studios still. Not really kind of like, it's not me at all. I just kind of I like having it away from my name, if you know what I mean.
But I guess you mix your own stuff in the production trio, right?
Yeah, totally. I love the idea of having full control, because the amount of times where I can do a mix, and then by the end of the track, when I loved it when it first came in, and I loved my first mix, and then by like the 3rd mix or 4th mix, it's like, well, this isn't my choice anymore, I love the idea of the drums being stupidly loud and the vocal being stupidly loud, and I like having full control, but then I'm also a control freak, so it's fine.
So how does that work with all 3 of you then? Lots of arguments?
It's fine. Yeah, loads of arguments. Yeah, we've had this new thing at the moment where Dean is like hammering to me, and Max is like he wants us to listen to the song more. And it's like this thing which it keeps coming up now, and we focus so much on production where it's like make the chorus fat, and Dean's like, come on, like we've got to the end of the day and we've got all loads of ideas, but all we've really focused on is production. So
Yeah.
Well, for me anyway, it's like learning and trying to listen a bit more and focus on what the songwriter's trying to say instead of just putting fat drums on everything, you know.
Yeah. So
But it's difficult to do that because I say I don't play, but I don't really have any confidence to kind of play anything. So when I hear people sit at the piano, it always sounds amazing, and I can always vibe off of that. But when it comes to lyrics and stuff, it's, yeah, I don't know. I just can't really. I don't really listen to that. I listen to melodies, and
you're a melody
how
man.
I can. Yeah, exactly. But I don't know. It's just learning those kind of things and trying to get the best out of the songwriter. Because I say I'm a songwriter, but you know, it's that thing at the moment where the producer is also a songwriter now. But a lot of us don't really do lyrics and stuff. But we can say yes or no to ideas, and
yeah,
I don't know. We're just really trying to kind of hone in on what we do, and I think that we'll get better if we can get over like all of us having input on like context of the song and structure and things like that. Whereas it's always, for me anyway, it's like get to the chorus as quick as you can, and things like, it doesn't work like that,
mate. yeah. No, that's good. And like I say, it's good that there's like three of you because you've got like three opinions. I mean, that could be good and could be bad, I guess. But then the motivation is there, I guess, to push each other to kind of.
Oh, it's brilliant. Yeah, that's it. It's like there's so many things where if it was my own solo thing, I'll just stop. You know, like, especially with like TikTok and stuff that's going on at the moment. It's like we've got this new campaign which Dean's just like drafted up, where we're going to different UFO sites around the UK, and we're going to be like, we're going to do some kind of, we're going to try and get abducted basically. So all three of us are going to be like prattling around in our spacesuits and some crop circles. Yeah. So you'll be seeing some of that soon, but I think that's going to be the main focus on content and stuff. Whereas, like, you see, if that was my stuff, I wouldn't know where to start with that.
Yeah.
But having his input in that, and also you wouldn't believe it, but Max is like incredibly arty. Like, if you asked him like his favorite artist and things like that, like he's got a really good eye for like photos and things like that. Like, I wouldn't have ever thought that Max looked at art or like even notice colours or something, but
Surprise.
He does. Like, yeah. Well, for a colourblind guy, but
that's what I mean. But that's great though that you've got all three of that. You know, and I've said this in a previous podcast before that I find, especially in the music industry, you know, in a way, sharing is caring, and sharing knowledge and working with. You know, I'm all about working with different people because I feel like that's what's going to get you the best kind of, I guess, product, if you're going to call it that. And that's kind of what you guys have got going on. You've got great engineers, great producers, and like you say, I mean, a lot of people, you know, there are questions regarding kind of how does it work with you guys? So do you do vocal tuning or are you just mixing and the technical side?
I think like the cool thing about what we do as well is you can come to us with just like an idea, like 10-second clip of a voice note on your phone or something, and you can walk out at the end of the day with like a finished product. You know what I mean? Yeah. We do everything. Like, we can do the recording, so even if you want to do like a live band or anything, like we can do all of that in the facilities that we've got. It's such like a great feeling to know that you can do that. Obviously, Fantastic. It's then just finding the artists and and getting people to kind of invest time into it is a struggling thing that we're trying to deal with at the moment, you know.
That's interesting.
A lot of people come in and they say like, "Oh, I've got this really cool idea," and we're like, "Yeah, we love the idea," and then they're like, "We want a day," and we're like, "What do you want to do with the day? Record vocals?" Like, and it's like, yeah.
I think in the business though, like, you know, people underestimate how long things take. It's like whenever I have a client, so you know, we're talking like strictly business now. When I have a client, obviously they're thinking time is money. So for them, they want to get the best, you know, record sounding they can for as cheap as they can, which I don't blame them. But as you know, doing it as a job yourself, you know that, you know, it can take a whole day to do vocals, as you said, and like
that's it. Yeah. Well, that's what we say. We reckon we can do a lead vocal in half a day and full track with BVs in the whole day. But that's including editing and everything, you know. We do all the edits on the fly, and Max is really super quick at all of that stuff.
Yeah.
So he's the guy that does all like the doer stuff for us and Sigrid tuning and all of that stuff, which
Amazing.
is all like, yeah, he's smashing it, man. He's doing really well. His vocal production is insane at the moment as well. So yeah, it's really good. Once people kind of catch on like what we're doing and what we're learning, I think we've got like a really good thing going on.
That's great.
It's really interesting. Yeah.
I mean, that's, you know, I guess, I mean, are you guys doing this on multiple systems? So if let's say your production trio are producing someone, have you got someone like Max tuning vocals while you're doing drums, or
is that normally, so with the projects which we do kind of like under Numen, like it's normally Max is in B, I'm in A, so we take out one of the drum rooms and create our own little kind of like bedroom setup, you know, that kind of thing, with some synths in there and just little bits and bobs. But if we're doing a Spaceman session, which is like normally what we're doing at the moment, we try and get kind of all hands on deck in the same room.
Yeah.
We like to bounce off each other and stuff, you know. It gives us a little break as well sometimes, because normally we start the room, we have like a front and back kind of system. So Max is on the main computer at the beginning, I'm at the back kind of coming up with ideas, like listening to Spotify and like chilling for a bit. And then middle of the day, kind of Max gets tired and starts falling asleep. He falls asleep, and then I go onto the front whilst the artist is in the room, you know, like
you're sharing the work. That's cute.
No, he doesn't fall asleep, but he sits on his phone for a bit and we're chilling.
I mean,
and then we're like, Dean, you done with the top line yet? Like, come on, mate. Like, God, you're taking ages.
I mean, talking about being productive. I mean, this podcast is, you know, about productivity as well. You know, you've just answered it. How do you be productive? Well, go to Numen Studios.
Yeah, go to Numen Studios. You've got two producers falling asleep at the back of the room, and you've got a guy that writes the songs for you. Yeah. No, it's good, man. It's good. It's kind of like it is two setups in a room, and then we all collab. So we kind of get Dean playing the guitar in the day and on keys. Whilst me and Max are both on Logic or Pro Tools doing whatever. Yeah. But to be honest, I'm always Logic, but Max likes to try different things. So.
There also was some questions, and I know that the people listening as well, I'm sure, would like to know this, is lots of studios seem to be closing down in this current day, right?
Yeah.
Do we agree on that?
Yes, totally.
And so how, obviously you've got the Numen Studios, you've got the Spaceman going on, so how do you kind of keep the studio kind of, I guess, productive in that sense? Does that make sense?
So like keeping us alive financially? That kind of thing.
Not necessarily. I mean, just, you know, it could be multiple things, like having different artists, just I guess being productive with time. I mean, I know you've explained about your stuff, but I know that listeners are always wanting to know kind of being creative, being, you know, business side. So, you know, how as well as the trio, what else do you do? Do you work on you do mastering, for example, you do mixing?
We do loads of different things, man. Yeah. Like we work closely with a company called WFB as well, which is that pays our rent, you know. We do a lot of stuff with them, and that's those bigger artists that you hear of.
So it's about networking and stuff. So anybody that's listening to this
totally.
that are thinking about owning a studio, that's kind of a way to do it as well, networking. And yeah. Well,
that's what we're doing, mate. Like, well, these writing sessions aren't necessarily like ever get enough cuts and stuff, because we're working with artists which are like in sessions every day with different producers, and you're super lucky if you get a cut with them, you know. But we know that, but we've met them, and then we tell them what we do. They've been to the space, like they see all the horses out the front of the studio, and they're like, "Oh my god, like we're from Central London, we haven't seen a horse in like years or whatever." But it's a good thing. I think that that is our focus: meeting new people, writing as much music as we can with different artists, and just hoping we get there, to be honest, man.
That's the way to do it, isn't it? And like you say, I mean, you know, people ask me, I get asked questions all the time, you know, how do I be self-employed doing what I do? You know, like the industry is so hard. And yes, the industry is hard, but as you just said, you know, when I asked how do you, you know, I guess keep the studio busy, it's just networking, working with lots of different people, so it's having kind of your hands in lots of different kind of things, I guess. So for the people that are,
I think it's like a really, really strong thing as well. I've kind of lost touch with what we're about to say, like since COVID and stuff. But before COVID, when I first opened the studio, I was like really good friends with a lot of people.
Yeah.
And all the time I was speaking to like new artists, or speaking to like, I don't know, and everyone was kind of like fully interested. And then since people have stopped kind of recording and stuff, I haven't really held on to my like closest relationships. But it's so important to keep that stuff going, man. Like, because our focus has changed. But if you want to be an engineer, like, you've got to be best friends with the artists you're working with, because once you get into those circles and you get into those like clicks, like that's where you really start making your name.
Yeah.
Because it's never just you. Like, whenever someone knows you in the music industry, they know you because of this person or because of an artist that you've worked with. And if that artist that you work with is saying that they hate you, like, they're not going to go to you, are they?
So, you know, reputation's one as well.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Which is obviously great. Why you three as a production trio, you know, you're getting a great reputation working with all these different artists from your studio, because, as you say, word of mouth. For all the people that are wondering, listening to this as well, how do I get work? I would say 90% is word of mouth. You know, most of the time. It's great that, you know, it's not just when owning a studio like yourself. It's about making, I guess, being productive and creating, I guess, different things, working with, you know, offering different services, I guess, to different artists, whether, like you said a second ago, whether they've got, you know, a song that's 10 seconds and you can turn it into something that's a radio ready track. So for all the listeners out there that are wondering how, that's kind of the answer, I guess.
Totally.
But yeah, so
I think also offering your services, like, you're going to hate me for saying this, but like offering your services for like the minimum of what you'd actually do it for. I don't tend to do
that?
No, because I used to sit there, and when I was at uni, I was like, don't do anything for free. Like, never do anything for free. You're always worth something.
Yeah.
But it's just like now, like, I'm here begging people, like I want to work with you. You're amazing. Like, I want. Like,
but that's the longevity thing. That's why, in a way, you're still a studio. You're still running, like, you're still running a studio, because you're looking at it from a long game, not a short game, I guess.
Yeah, well, I think my opinion on that has changed. Like, I want people to work with me, but they're not going to work with me if I'm sitting there telling them like prices that they can't afford. You know.
Yeah.
And that's another thing. Like, if people are struggling to like keep their business afloat, it's probably because you're giving a cost which is scaring someone, and you're not like offering to break it down and stuff. Like, everyone today, I don't know, I'd probably not you, to be fair, but a lot of people, especially me as well, I buy everything on finance, like, and it's breaking down payments
I
and
do
things
too.
like that. It's like,
I've had to stop myself since being a dad. It's like,
it's one of those things. But we offer that to like most of our artists that come in now, because like, we're not cheap, and we understand that, and we also understand, like, if you're an unsigned artist, you don't really have access to much money apart from your own money, which you're going to be cutting into your living. Like,
did you say you did you say you finance, as in as people can finance to work with you? Is that what you said? I thought you meant like finance gear. I was like, I've stopped financing studio.
No.
Oh, right, that's a really great business
to
model.
be fair, we did on we did on
as well.
Yeah, I do that, but that's a credit card. So
we all do that. It's a business expense.
yeah, exactly.
So that's interesting. That's a great business model to kind of do. I never really kind of thought of doing that. Can you, I guess, give us more about that, or is that?
Well, there's this amazing band that we work with called Riders Edge. I don't know if you've heard of them, but they've got a tune coming out very soon called Someone New, and honestly, is the best work I've ever done. That was Max and myself, like, fully, like, they come in with a demo and we just finish it, and they're like a 5-piece band.
Amazing.
But yeah, no, they're really cool. But for them, their thing is they want consistency. So they want to be like, I think they said like they want like a track every month to be released. Like, that's the idea. So from January, they want to release a song every month. So 12 songs in a year. Yeah. So, but then they work it out and it's like, oh, well, we can't afford to do that. Like, unless we kind of all pay it off kind of in
chunks, I guess.
Yeah. Like every month, each of them put in 250 or whatever, you know, and then, that's allowed them to then actually do what the idea that they wanted to do, because we come to terms with like how that would work with us and the amount of time that we can actually put into the project. So every time we go into record, we know the deal, they know the deal. And that seems like a really attractive thing for me. If I was in a band, that would be the way that I'd want to do it, because it's like a subscription, you know, it's that kind of thing.
You're like
you get the kind of safety. yeah, exactly.
But again, that is a very 2022 way of I would say doing things. And that, you know, for the listeners that are wondering, how can I have a studio or operate a business of a studio in 2022? That is something to think about, because I actually don't think many studios are doing that. Not that I've, you know, every plugin seems to be doing that.
Because a lot of people don't really trust people. And
trust
you have to have an element. Yeah, you have to have an element of trust. And like, even if I send them a bad mix, I still know that these guys are going to kind of like pay us. They respect what we do and we respect what they do, you know.
Well, what people are going to be thinking is, do you contract?
We don't go around and just like hand out those deals like to everyone, you know.
I was like, can I have one?
You did have one.
The thing that I know that people that are going to be thinking after that little bit of the conversation is it do you contract it? Like, do you have agreements, or do you just go?
For me, right. I think an invoice is a contract, you know. I'm sure that it can hold in court, you know. Yeah. Okay, it's not a signed document, but if you've already paid your first installment, which is normally what we ask for before we send our mixes or we commit to the recording or whatever, normally we take like the first. So we normally put it into kind of like 3 payments. That's the best way of doing it. So we get the deposit payment, which is the first bit before the session, and then we get the second one just after recording, then we get the third one just for the mixes and masters or whatever. So normally the process is already going, so people don't feel too bad kind of paying it. But I think if you're going to do that after you've done, so like most of the writing stuff that we do at the moment, we don't know if we're going to be paid for the production or whatever until they cut the song. You know what I mean? Because that's how it works. You know?
So you're taking a risk.
Yeah. So when you write a song, you wait until the artist decides, oh, that's my favorite song, so we're going to use that one as the next release, or whatever, and then you release your like your fee or whatever it is for the production. You come up with your deal, and then when they accept that, normally they're like, oh, I don't know about that, and it's like, I don't know if you could offer that deal when you do something like that, you know.
But that's when installments.
Unless you're really friendly with the. But exactly. I don't know if you can just hand them out. Like,
yeah.
I don't think it's an easy thing to do, especially if you're struggling for money as well. Like, we definitely are, you know. And when you get installments, it's like, have you paid your invoice? And then they're like, yeah, we paid like 50 quid. It's like, oh, thanks.
I think that is something to be said, and that's one thing that for me in the industry as well is cash flow is always a bit of a dodgy one. I find, you know, some months, as you know, you can do really well, and other months not so well, and you always have to have money saved for a rainy day, I guess. But the problem is when you've got audio gear and plugins on subscription. It's not always easy. Dangerous listeners, it's a dangerous game. So going back.
So you say that, but then you could do one day. You could do one day's work and it's paid. You could be in you could go 5 days without doing any work, and then you could do 1 day's worth of work and it's already paid for all 5 of those days and 5 days ahead of you.
If they don't pay in installments.
Yeah. But it's all worth it. It's all totally worth it. I don't get that buzz off of anything else, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that kind of goes on to like a little bit of creativity as well, because I always find, don't think, obviously everyone's got bills to pay, everyone has to run a business and all of that. But I always find the creativity, I think, is the most important. And I think normally the creativity will speak for itself. I think if you're just, making tracks to make money, I mean, look, if we both knew how to write a hit, I mean, I don't know about you, but I'd be retired by now. So I think being creative
We're trying.
I think being creative is something that's most important. So, my next question, Jordan, would be for your production trio. How do you guys stay creative, yet in certain areas, you're having to run a business as well? So for all the listeners that are like, I love doing what I do, but I got bills to pay, kind of how do you stay creative? How do you separate that? And are there any kind of techniques or any things that you do that enables you to be 100% creative in that mix or that production that's got nothing to do with
I don't know. I see creativity in like different ways. You can be creative as a business and then creative as an artist, obviously.
Yeah.
But like, if you're talking about as an artist, it's easy for us because of the facilities we've got. Like we're so grateful to have like the piano that we've got in the live room. Like it's not the live room, the control room. It's brilliant. It's like that's there's ideas that coming out of that all day. But I don't know. I think creativity for us isn't something that it's not really a problem ever. Like I think it's more kind of like the focus and the attitude towards work and creativity. It's like, I don't know. I see them as different things.
I think that's a big one, though, isn't it? Kind of focus, to stay focused and not get distracted. I think it's, again, that's why it's great that there's three of you, because as it goes back to what I said about motivation, it kind of, I mix a lot and I find that I'm always on my own. And sometimes I'm making like more coffees than I need.
This is what I mean. So how often you're mixing now? It's like, when was the last time that you've just made a track? Like,
made a track. Well, I had to make some karaoke backing tracks, didn't I? So.
Right. Yeah. But that's what I mean. It's like, the fun for me is the fun bit for me is the creating side of it. Which is why I see like work and creative like different things. Which is why like my attitude towards kind of work is really bad at the moment. To be honest, I'm so bad at working, like making money. It doesn't really work like that for me at the moment. I'm more focused on being fully creative, writing music and
so just for the listeners, when you say working, you're saying you're different. I can't say the word. You're separating working and creative as working as in is trying to make money, and creative is just doing what you love, I guess.
Totally. For me, because when I'm doing my mixing and stuff, like as creative as it is, like I am limited with what I've been given.
It's all about
a lot of the time. yeah, exactly. So, and like it's creative in a different way, but creativity to me is creating something new. I don't know. That's the way I feel about that word.
Yeah.
And I love that. That's my thing. And then when I get like productions in, and I'm kind of like just sitting around, and it's like I'm really limited with what I'm doing here. I really do struggle with that kind of thing, and it takes a lot of kind of inspiration from other people to kind of force that creativity, and which is also like a really good thing for other artists and like producers, which are trying to kind of like get to grasp with actually like finishing productions and things like that. And I think influences is like a massive thing for us. Every session we come in with like what they've been listening to, what do they listen to, and like when you just jam to music. And
how do you deal with
like the sound of
what do you do then when you get an artist in, all three of you guys are working with this artist? If you don't vibe with what they're after, are you just like, no, I'm not working with you? Or do you kind of take, I guess, their creativeness, although it might be different to what you think? Do you explain to the listeners, how do you work with that? Like, what do you do in that situation?
I'm a pain in the arse when it comes to that situation.
Right, you've admitted it.
Yeah. Max and Dean are brilliant at that, because they're really open to kind of trying different things. Whereas if I don't like an idea, like you're gonna know about it, and it will never work.
People away.
Yeah, it won't work. If it's a bad idea, it's a bad idea, and I can tell you before it happens. But
I love it
no, we
how
had this thing.
how like on it you are. You're like, there's no like, you're just like A or B.
No, I'm always proved wrong. I can sit there and have an argument with Max for 2 hours, and then I'll be wrong at the end of the day, and I'll be like, I'm not going to admit it. Still not going to admit it. But no, it's good. It's difficult one as well, because the other day we had an artist come in from London, and she came in, and we had this like mad references which all of us were like kind of hyped about. It was like Maggie Rogers. It was all these kind of like really cool indie like girl pop kind of thing. It's really cool country stuff. And then she came in and she was like, I actually write country music, like fully country.
I love country.
And like that could, yeah, it's cool. But like me and Max have been sitting there working on like this synth part for like 2 hours before she came in to show her as like an idea. And we all kind of like quit the project quickly, and we're like what we could do, like, so. But it was fine, because obviously we're
did you
all
end up
open
showing her?
changing things and stuff. What's that?
Did you end up showing her the project, or did you?
No, we didn't. I think she knew that we didn't get it, so she went through and showed us her whole branding and the direction she's going as an artist and stuff. And I think she could tell from our reaction that we were a bit like, oh my god. But yeah, she came out and it was like fully like grungy country music, like.
Nice.
Yeah, but no, she's really cool, and like we ended up actually getting a song at the end of the day, and I think she likes it. But I think it'd be good to, I like all those little problems though. I think it's cool, so, and especially when you can try different things as well. Like in that space, then we could have easily have turned around and all of us been like, right, well, we can do this, but it's not really what we do or something. And she would have been like, fine, let's just try something else. But I think we're focusing on just trying to get something from them instead of for us.
That's a very good point. I think
that's the only reason why that would be a problem, which is why it wasn't a problem. You know.
Well, I mean, that kind of goes on to the next question, actually. You're in, as we mentioned, this production trio that you're in. Would you say if someone came to you to, let's say I'm an artist and I came to your studio and I wanted you to produce a track for me, are you going to give me the sound I want, or is it going to be your kind of sound with my song? Does that make sense? So, like, do you put your stamp on it? Well, or not, or you tell me.
I don't think that's a good way of looking at productions at all. No? Unless you have like Grammys under your belt, or like, I don't know, like you're the producer for The Weeknd and people are coming to you because you produced that track for The Weeknd or something, you know.
Jordan, do you not know who I am?
No, but you know what I mean? Like, if people were coming to us from a song that we've done, then fine, then we'll probably go with something similar that we've done before.
Yeah.
But I think now we're still just trying to find our own sound, and we're only going to get our own sound by getting other people's sound out of them, you know. To be fair, Spacemen as an artist project, we do have like a weird sound. Like, it's like that acoustic guitar, lo-fi thing.
Yeah.
Wait, that is kind of like a thing that kind of goes through the whole.
So is Spacemen
the whole project?
So Spacemen is an artist itself. Is it would it be Spacemen featuring an artist, or would it be just a Spacemen production duo produced? Well, whoever's track?
I think that's what it'll be. So on Spotify, we're coming out as Spacemen. It's not like Jordan, Max, and Dean.
Right. Okay. But if someone came to you for a track at your studio that wanted you guys to produce it, I guess that will change, or how does that work for the listeners?
No. Everything we're doing production-wise at the moment is all under Spacemen. All writing projects that we're doing is all under Spacemen.
Yeah.
We do some projects under Numen, but again, that's the kind of stuff that we're limited with the artists for. You know, There's not much creative stuff, because, like I say, there is a line between a creative project and a
business
work project. Yeah,
I guess
there's money and then there's not money.
Well, you could make a lot of money from Spacemen.
There's fun and then not fun.
No, that's interesting. It's a great kind of way to be creative and run a studio that's successful.
Yeah, it's well, it's not successful, but it will be.
Well, you
We're
never
working on
know.
it.
Look, you're
Yeah,
it's 2022 and you still own a studio, so
yeah.
that
Luckily,
that's great news in itself. So that's fantastic. But
yeah.
so another question that people want to know is, what have you changed during obviously COVID happened, and has that changed? I know you
Well, that
mentioned
was it. That's when Spaceman kind of came to life. That's what's changed. Yeah.
So that was a big change, yeah.
Like I said, like that's when we realised like we're not going to be making money from recording, so we might as well try and kind of balance out the rent and stuff with like productions and making sure that we then have time to do our own thing, So we kind of look at it as in like we've got 2 weeks to do our own thing and 2 weeks to make rent. Basically, that's the way we look at it.
That's a great way of looking at it though, because it's 2 weeks of being
creative.
Yeah,
exactly. It allows us to have loads of time, but obviously Dean's balancing like a job, like he's working at the moment full time, and then Max is working at weekends and stuff. So we are still limited with time and stuff, but we're still working on that. COVID completely changed everything. No, like for the better, in my opinion.
Yeah,
I could still be sitting there and falling asleep recording people, or like now.
You're so like blunt.
Yeah, like, but that's what it is. Like,
I love it.
Yeah. we don't want to be recording artists that also wouldn't listen to their own music. Like these people I'm saying that I'd fall asleep to are still the same people that don't listen to their own music. So we can go home and we send like the Ryler's Edge band. Those guys, they love their music, and that's so important to us. Like, and it like inspires us to like do a better job, because it means that they're going to be like fine picking everything that you do. That like your decisions are going to be like properly judged on. Like they're not just going to sit there and be like, oh well, I don't know. Let's just leave it as it is because that's what I did. And it's like, no, we want you to listen, and then like, how does that make you feel? Like it's not about like if you like the sound of it. It's like, is that exciting or is that not exciting? I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, what I was saying about the Ryder's Edge boys, when we sent them a bounce once, I forgot what it was. I think it was like the first mix that we ever sent them, and I sent it into the group chat, and I looked at it the next day, and it had been downloaded 90 times.
90?
5 guys. Yeah. Well, because obviously they must have been listening on their phone in bed or something. But all of them must have just been playing through it, like on their phone, and just like every time you click it, it downloads. And I was like, they are the people I want to work with, Like,
if you want to work with Jordan, listeners, just make sure you download the track a lot, yeah.
Yeah. No, but that was like an eye-opening moment for me, where I was like, that's passion, and that's what you want. Like
that means you've done a good job as well, because it means obviously
what exactly, or I've done a bad job, and they've really tried to pick it up.
they've had a meeting over it.
yeah, exactly.
So, for anybody that's listening, they're going to be wanting to know kind of any knowledge from you. Obviously doing this as a career, and from leaving university to owning a studio to having a production trio called Spaceman, what advice would you give someone that's up and coming, whether they're going to be opening a studio or being a production trio? Is there any advice that you can give that you've learned along the way that would benefit the listeners? That's a big question, so feel free to think about it. Put you right on the spot.
Wait, no. So you're just saying like advice for anyone that's coming, listening as an artist or listening as a business owner
that wants to either open a studio or that wants to be a spaceman like you.
Well,
guys.
if you're gonna open a studio, you need to think about like your outgoings. That's the main thing. It's like we're so lucky to be where we are because our outgoings are so little. We found like this little barn in the middle of Surrey, which is like so cheap to rent, and it was already kind of like set up as a studio, so it wasn't actually much outgoing for us, to start up the space. Whereas for a lot of people, that's kind of like a scary project, because you think, I want to open up a studio, and it's like they buy like a box room with like, and they put 2 monitors up to it. Sorry, I think the message is going. But yeah, no, like but you've got to think about like your rent and how are you going to pay for your rent, and how are you going to
Yeah.
How is every month going to happen? You know, and if you're in the middle of London and you're paying £1,500 a month for like a one room, you're not. It doesn't start like that. You know, be happy in your bedroom. You know, invest in that, because that's. I wish I was still in my bedroom. You know, as good as it is, it's like that money that I'm spending on rent every month, I could be saving to go into like another place or something. But I was going to talk about it later as well. It's like
paying off the subscriptions.
Yeah. No, because that's what I was going to talk about as well. It's like, whilst I'm still younger, I still see like, hopefully when we get this multi-million pound publishing deal, we're then going to like invest into like a house or something, and like that to me is like what, when you're younger, what you should be doing. You know, like the idea of all three of us living together and every day we kind of live in the studio, that to me is like a dream, you know.
Yeah.
And when you're trying to start up a new project, or like just advice to people, it's like, just keep it simple. You don't need a studio to be doing what we do, although it's good and it's a lot more appealing to, if you're trying to network with other people and stuff. It's nice to be able to say, we've got a studio, you can come to our place. And it's not so easy to say that if you're just in your bedroom. But I wouldn't be scared of that, because a lot of the people that we work with normally work in bedrooms anyway. If that be their own bedroom from Zoom or whatever, you know.
Yeah. Fantastic.
I don't know.
Is there any advice you would give anyone that wants to be in a similar situation to where you are with Spacemen at all? Or, you know, I guess it's just finding
open, I suppose.
Yeah, finding the right
I think
people.
It's like, yeah, I think be open and be up for collaborating all the time.
Yeah, I think that's the main
I'm always
thing.
down to collaborate. Yeah, definitely.
Collaboration.
There's a lot of people we work with who don't really open up about much, and they don't want to give anything away, or they don't want to really discuss too much about what they're planning on doing for their own projects and things, because they like the idea of it being secret and stuff. But if you're in a trio or you're collaborating with people, you've kind of got to be open to also doing things that you don't want to do, and like helping people through things. And because a lot of what we're doing as well at the moment as Spacemen is like, it's a lot of kind of like just being there for each other as well, which is a really nice thing to have. Like, obviously you've got Olivia where you are and stuff, but like the two lads are like going through things themselves, and the artist thing is kind of giving them like a little release, which is why we're kind of excited to show everyone what we're doing. And the music is actually speaking from Mr. Dean, you know, like he's speaking about everything, kind of putting his heart on his sleeve, you know. And I think that's cool, man. I'm all about that.
That's good. And like you say, you're all free sharing those ideas and making the best out of them, because you're all
and like we all come in and we've got like this like Spotify playlist where we all kind of throw stuff that we like in there. It's got a bit messy now, but at first it was really kind of like I was interested in listening what they were listening to, you know. And there's a lot of people who kind of, if they say, oh, you want to be part of a project like this or something, and then they listen to other people's music and they're like, oh, that's horrible. Like, I know, yeah, you've got to be able to put up with that.
Yeah.
If you want to work with them, you know, like.
No, it's interesting.
I don't know. I think it's quite a difficult thing to accept if you're a control freak.
Yeah.
But it's also like the most, like, when it's right and you finish a product together and you get your masters back, it's like, wow, I can't believe that we've done this.
Yeah, you're proud of
it.
It
Still doesn't sound real. Yeah,
You've got a physical thing. It's like, I mean, although it's probably digital, it's still there. So, how can the listeners find your studio and your production trio Spacemen as well? How, feel free to give us the socials and stuff.
I'm not good on socials or anything, so
no.
No, I'll just Numen Studios online. I'm sure we have an Instagram, and then Spacemen Music, TikTok, and whatever. Fantastic. Yeah, Spacemen is probably the best way to actually be able to contact one of us. But Numen Studios is like, if you want some services.
And I will say to everybody that is listening, Numen Studios is one of my favorite studios. So it's great people, great energy, great atmosphere, and also everyone there has great knowledge. And that, I think that's
Ooh.
a big thing that I think is important. It's not just about the gear. I always say to people when it comes down to mixing, you know, they want this person or they need this bit of gear to mix. At the end of the day, it's about the individual that is mixing and the set of ears and the knowledge that they have.
And the room.
Yeah, of course. Well, the room is important. But yeah, so yeah. Well, thank you so much, Jordan, for joining us on this podcast. Thanks
been for having me, Ed.
Great to have a chat with you.
I've got to say thank you as well for being you, bro. Like you were kind of like one of the founding producers that kind of trusted us as Numen Studios. You know, still using us for your masters and stuff, man. I appreciate that so much. Like,
no, seriously,
it's a big thing. Like you're running your own podcast now, and it's like, I don't know, you're shouting at other people. People are shouting at you enough, you know.
Oh.
You're a dude. You deserve it.
Well, thank you so much.
All the best in this.
Thank you.